What's good, Panther Nation? It's your boy, Myron McRae, a.k.a. Tornado McRae across the skyways of the internet, here with another episode of Panther Pride TV, your one-stop shop for all your Panther notifications and your Panther obligations. Happy Tuesday to all of y'all. Hope you're having a great day. Let's go ahead and get into today's docket, because the number one thing that is on all of our minds, that is on everybody's agenda right now, is the Bryce Young high ankle sprain. Yesterday, I did say, at the time of that video, I was unsure if Bryce was going to miss time. I didn't think he would miss time. He was stepped on. His ankle did get stepped on. So in my mind, I was like, okay, he should be good to go. However, now there are reports that have come out and they're saying, yo, Bryce is expected to miss time. And because of that, Andy Dalton will be getting the start. Now, not only, the thing I've been watching is the effects that have happened after that. And here's what I mean. So Bryce Young is expected to miss the start, but Coach Canales has not ruled him out yet. He said they will take him day by day up the full week. So Bryce could still potentially start on Sunday versus Buffalo. But if he does not, Andy Dalton is set to be the starter. Now, what's weird to me slightly is the fact that Hendon Hooker has still been on the practice squad. He's still been here all season. The Panthers went out and signed Mike White, who played with the Buffalo Bills last season, to the practice squad.
Nani?
And I think the reason why, if I'm being honest, and I think the reason why they signed Mike White, because the only sense this makes, is because he was Buffalo's backup last year, and they need him to game plan for Buffalo. He knows Buffalo's offense. He knows the mannerisms in which they run their offense, and he can give them the best intel and the best scouting for the starting defense. That's the only reason why I believe the Panthers would make this signing, because there was a rumor where Carolina was like, hey, they may go out and sign a veteran QB if Dalton gets to start. People asked Hendon Hooker, hey, do you feel like you're capable of being the backup in that role? Hooker's like, yeah, I'm confident I could be the backup, and I don't doubt Hooker could do it. And to me, it doesn't sound like something Carolina would do to a guy who's just been grinding and working here, to just go out and be like, you know, we're just going to go out and sign another guy and start him over you. Not a guy that hasn't been there or hasn't proven to work or doesn't even know Carolina's offense like that. So in my mind, the effects of this really were, hey, you know, Dalton's probably going to get the start just in case. Hooker, you're going to be the backup, but if you're going to be the backup, we need you getting second team reps, and we need somebody to man the practice squad. Who else better to man the practice squad than the quarterback who is a backup in Buffalo, who is our opponent this week, just last season? So I think that's the reason for this signing. I don't foresee Mike White being a long-term signing. Maybe if Bryce is out a few weeks, Mike White can give great looks for other defenses and as a scout for the first-team defense, but I don't foresee Mike White being a long-term signing. I see this more as a, hey, this is a big game for us coming up. Buffalo is a formidable opponent. Who do we know that's available that can give us the best look for our defense to combat Josh Allen, Don Kincaid, James Cook, and the rest of them boys? Who could do it? And to be honest, getting Mike White sounds like a pretty smart move to do, even if it's just for the week. It sounds like a pretty smart move. So I will admit, I was initially against the signing. I was like, why are y'all doing that? However, when I took a step back and I looked at it from a strategic perspective, it makes perfect sense. Strategically, I need somebody to give my defense the best look. Strategically, this man was their backup. So he is the guy that we should call. I'm surprised a lot more teams don't do this, but obviously it's probably like an expensive endeavor, and sometimes it can be a waste of money, because if you're only doing it for like the 1 week, it ain't even worth it. However, with that being said, I'm not too mad at the call. And if Bryce is good to go, Mike White just got paid for a week. which, hey, it's pretty cool, pretty dandy. Do what you got to do, man. So I'm not mad against that. However, that's just kind of the fiasco that's been going about. I have seen some people be like, oh, Mike White signing, they're signing Mike White over Hooker, so on and so forth, blah, 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 blah. That's kind of wrong against Hooker because he's been grinding, which, from that perspective, yes. And I was initially on that perspective. But then I said, hold up, let me take 2 seconds. Let me take 2 seconds, man, and let's see how everything goes. So yeah, when we look at it again, Bryce expected to miss, Dalton set to be the starter, Mike White signed to the practice squad, and then Hooker's still on the practice squad. So that's how everything's going to go out. And then next, did want to talk about this because I didn't get to talk about it as much in depth yesterday, but yo, let's take a look at Xavier Legette's superb day in New York because Xavier Legette had a day, man. And considering where he's been this season and considering how he was struggling off the season, for him to have the day he had, I'm so happy for this man because Xavier Legette had a career-high day. He had a career high in targets with 11, a career high in receptions with 9, a career high in receiving yards with 92, and he had 1 touchdown. And so, to me, I'm so happy for X to have a career day, albeit it might be against the Jets. So what? I don't care. It's just a simple fact of the matter that he has been struggling since the start of this season. But since he's come back, he's looked better. Since he's come back, he's been more engaged. Since he's come back, he's appeared to be a complete receiver. He's appeared to be a good number 2 across from T-Mac. He's appeared to find himself and find his groove, find his role, and he's getting better. He's always finding himself available in the end zone. He's making sure he's using his body as best as he can. He's fighting to get open. When he's in the run game, he's engaging in his blocks and really hammering home as a blocker because he's a bigger body. So he's just like, yo, set the edge, set it up for our running backs, and you can look superb. So the fact that he had his best day, I'm happy for X. I'm grateful to see X. And just, again, man, looking at it, 11 catches, 11 targets, 9 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Happy for X. Happy to see him do his thing. And then speaking of, like, setting the edge and whatnot, because we got the other team coming in from Buffalo and setting the edge as a run blocker, bro. Rico and Chuba versus the Buffalo Bills defense. How's that going to look? And y'all pointed this out too, so shout outs to y'all for pointing this out in the last video as well. Okay. Rico and Chuba right now had the Panthers offense rushing for 140 yards a game. We're 3rd in the NFL. The Buffalo defense, in their rushing defense, is giving up 156 yards rushing per game. And in a game where Andy Dalton may be expected to start, they're going to rely heavily on Rico and Chuba. So, this seems like the game where Rico and Chuba can both go off. And I mean both could get 125 apiece easily. I think Buffalo's going to try and stack the box. If Bryce isn't ready to go, if it is Andy Dalton, they're going to try and stack the box a lot more to try and cover up their weakness in the run game. But, bro, hey, I don't see why Rico and Chuba can't carry us to this win. It's going to come down to, can we make sure that run game is established, and can our defense just hold water and get the stops when necessary? Because that's what our defense has done a lot this season. They may not have always stopped a team on every drive, but in our wins, they've gotten the stops when we've needed to get stops. They've gotten the big plays when we needed to get the big plays. And that's all I need for this defense. To ask this defense to go out and shut out the Buffalo Bills, that's a fever dream. That's a real big delusion. But to ask this defense, just hold on. just hold on, and when we need you, just make 1 or 2 stops. That's not impossible. That's honestly not even out the realm of, like, that's not even a huge ask. It's just like, when we need you to make these stops, make these stops. Because Buffalo's offense isn't unbeatable. It's not this big, great monster that's like, oh my God, there's no way we can stop them. They can be stopped. They've shown they can be stopped. Our defense has shown they know how to stop them. So we just got to hold serve, and our rushing attack has got to be on display on Sunday. And honestly, that's whether Bryce is in or Andy Dalton's in. Our rushing attacks got to be on display. That is their weakness. That is our strength. We need to exploit that 100%. Not even going to hold you on that. But, guys, before we get into the comments today, let's go ahead and check out the Panther Freeze Frame Brother of the Day. And, man, I love when the boys are celebrating sacks like this. And everybody just hyped because this is after one of the team sacks, and it just looks fun. It's energy. It's everything, and I love it every single time it happens. So, love this photo. Think it's a great photo, and I think it just shows the boys were really tuned in on defense and locked in when they needed to make those stops. But now, it is time for Panther Nation to speak your truth and get to read y'all comments, man. So let's go ahead. And the first comment comes from Federico El Padrino. My man says, JC a top CB versus Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor? Okay, I'm not disagreeing. I personally would rather make that claim against the upper crust of QBs around the league. I mean, freaking Mike Jack looked like a shutdown corner against the Jets. I'm going to say they did their jobs, and I'm going to be thankful for that. You know what? Fair statement. Federico, that is a fair statement. I can concede on that one. I probably should save that argument for more seasoned or better. If that was against like Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, a Joe Burrow, guys like those, or shoot, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's not a bad argument. Like JC, we both agree JC is that. But if I were to make that argument to somebody on the street, they'd be like, he played Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor. So I get what you're saying. That makes 100%. That makes sense. 100%. I get you. Next comes from D Davis 356. Man says, it shows a lot of growth to win when you are not at your best and for the defense to step up and pull us through. If you think on our wins, we have won in almost every way possible. Blowout, comeback, shootout, and win on the road while not at your best. I mean, where's the lie? Where's the lie? Like, we've honestly won just about every way possible. The only thing we haven't had is an overtime win. That's like, I'm just saying, like, but you're not wrong. That's the only thing we haven't had. And then lastly, last comment comes from Gigi Eves, formerly known as Gerald Eves Jr. Says, after watching Locked On Panthers podcast, it's obvious where you get your abbreviated content with your added in lack of knowledge comments. For viewers, if you want better content, watch Locked On Panthers Carolina. Gerald, I'm going to just say this, man. One, like, I've seen that you essentially have a beef with the content I put out. If you don't want to watch my content, bro, that's fine. That is perfectly fine. You can go watch the Locked On Panthers podcast. I watched the Locked On Panthers podcast. Funny enough, I talked to Julian. And I've asked Julian to critique me on this channel. Here's what Julian had to say to me. Because I asked him to critique the channel, told him I love it, and I've watched his videos, asked him for his critiques. He flat out said, hey, yo, check. He flat out says, yo, I've checked out your videos, and he's like, checked out the video. I like the graphics and structure of what you got going on. You're clearly organized, which is much better than just turning on the camera and firing off takes without any direction. You have great energy, too. As far as the collab, do you mean coming to the show? If so, we can find something that makes the time work. And I'm not, bro, this YouTube money's all around. Like, I highly recommend if y'all like my show, go check out the Locked On Panthers podcast. I have no problem with that. But you sitting there making it seem like I'm so bad because I don't agree with some of your takes or I'm not in the lockstep with you, it's kind of crazy to me. If you feel as though I'm this bad at doing this, I have a suggestion. Go to Amazon. Get a $30 mic. Get a $30 to $50 camera. $30 to $50 mic. This one costs $50. And gladly start putting out your own takes too, bro. This YouTube money is for all of us. We can all eat. I don't know if that was supposed to hurt me or anything like that, or that was supposed to like have a dig at me like, oh, your lack of abbreviated content. Bro, if I don't know something, I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and say I do. I will be a man and say I don't know. If I know something and I can speak eloquently to it, I will speak eloquently to it. So that's how that's going to go. And you clearly don't seem to like my version of the content. So, hey, it is what it is, dog. I'm not too frustrated about it. I just think it's kind of funny because the same person you're telling that I don't have content, I went and watched the latest episode too. We spoke on the same thing and said verbatim essentially the same thing. His video's just longer. And I love that for him. Sometimes I just don't got the extra time to do that. But at the end of the day, I love Julian's content. I love the Locked On Panthers podcast. If y'all haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. And Gerald, if you want to make this content too, bro, go ahead, make the content. I hope you do. I hope you do. Because we need more different perspectives. Everybody can have a different perspective and be a Panthers fan. It is what it is. Half the time, y'all don't even agree with me anyways. So, that's all I got to say, man. That's all I got to say. I'm cool with the constructive criticism, and I'm cool with anybody, like, having a different take than me. But if you're attacking me or anybody in the comment section just because you don't like what they said, but you don't have anything, I guess, valid to say about it, what are we doing, bro? We can be civil. We can have civil discourse. We can have civil discourse and disagreements. But come on now. Come on now. If you feel that strongly, hey, you're more than welcome. Get a camera, get a mic, meet me out here. Also, you still came back after that 6361 comment. Don't think I forgot about that one. But guys, let's get up out of here, man. I'm done with being petty. I'm done with being petty today. I just had to say that. But it ain't even being petty to me. It ain't even being petty. However, guys, that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell at the bottom so you can always be notified of when these videos are dropping. Next, comment below and let me know, what are your thoughts about the changes that have had due to Bryce Young's apparent injuries, such as Andy Dalton being the starter, us signing Mike White, Hendon Hooker still being on the squad, and potentially Bryce maybe starting this week? I do not know. Next, how did y'all feel about Xavier Legette having a career-high day? Do y'all think he's finally getting back in the groove and becoming the receiver we wanted him to be? And lastly, what are y'all predictions for our rushing attack versus the Bills' rushing defense this upcoming Sunday? Let me know in the comment section below, because at the end of the day, what do I know? I'm just a skinny brother with two tats, man. Peace. Much love to all you Panther Nation. Take care. Later days. And as always, keep pounding. I'll see y'all next time, baby.